Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Happy Friday to you. Happy Saturday to you, wherever you are in the world. We are so happy to have you with us. My name is Dr. JACALYN Kerbeck, and our show today is presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH. Our topic is a good one: the pros and cons of microchipping your pet. This is a hot topic for sure. Let's bring out our expert and the star of our show. It's Pet Psychic AMINAH. Come on out. Hello.
Yay.
Come on down. Yeah.
Calm down.
How are you today on this? I don't know if it's beautiful there, but it's beautiful here in Florida.
California.
It's always nice.
So the odds are it's sunny. And luckily we've had a decent amount of rain, so the hills are green. And it's just beautiful when the hills naturally turn green.
It sure is. It's amazing how, as you know, this is a global platform. We have friends who are freezing, who they're, depending where you are in the world, people who are getting flooded, and there's all kinds of things going on. But we always have some sun in here anyway, regardless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I don't brag, because I have clients all over the world, and I would hate to have them feel less. Because they have snow, and some people absolutely adore it, and that's why they live there. And I'm okay with that. You love the snow. I love the mountains.
Yeah, I don't love the snow either. But
yeah, it doesn't love me back. I always hated getting cold when I was a kid, because I lived near the mountains, and it was like, okay, we're gonna drive 30 minutes to be cold and wet.
I know.
Why?
Or I'm gonna put on a big bulky suit so I can put on these skis and go down and hit a tree or fall. I don't know. I'm not interested, but it's good. It's for somebody else. It's just not for me. It's not for you.
Exactly.
So what I want people to know,
for everybody, they are for most of us.
Yes.
So many of us are choosing pets over marriage, over family, meaning having little kids, human kids. I have plenty of clients that do that, and it's nice to have the choice. Live in every city, country, state, topography you want. And the same is nowadays, the pandemic, every crisis has a silver lining. And one of those will be that we get to work remotely from anywhere in the world. And luckily, JACALYN, you and I have been doing this for a long time. So we are used to working remotely.
It's so true. And by the way, before we get into our topic, I just want to share with you, because you and I have already celebrated 100 episodes together. Yes. But I went over to YouTube, which is one of the places where we stream. And since October 11th of 2019, and I didn't add in today's shows, but I've produced or hosted 3,300, I think it might be 51 shows right now.
Where's your confetti? Come on. You didn't know you were going to say that, did you? Wow. Love to see that on a resume if you ever had to get another job. It's like, no, prove it.
It's right there.
Easy to prove.
Yeah.
So easy to prove.
So easy to prove. So that's really cool. But what I wanted people to know is that, the name of the show, sometimes I even think we should change the name, because you're so much more than a pet psychic. And, actually when we first started together, we did have you would do some readings. We had some people who would call in, but the show has grown, and what you do is so more than that. And I'd love us to just quickly touch on that, because for people who are joining us for the first time, they don't know that. They see the name of the show. But you are, in addition to being a pet psychic and an intuitive, you are a trainer, you're a coach, you're a speaker, and you're really an advocate for sustainability and coexistence. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll get into our controversial topic.
Having pets is a gift. It's not something everybody can afford to do. And it has so many benefits. Even a doctor who doesn't like pets cannot deny that petting somebody's fur and having an animal look up at you, completely devoted, completely loving, and doesn't care if you showered that day, if you smoke, if you're ill, if you can walk, if you can crawl, if you have bad language, none of that's going to get corrected. They love you for exactly whoever you are that day. Some of us change day to day, and some of us have better days than not. Animals don't quantify. What they will, of course, expect is some love and care. If you're going with a pack animal like a dog, they're in your pack. Good, bad, otherwise, they will work alongside you. If anybody has a working breed or a dog that works alongside you for whatever reason, that means they are an assistant animal, or they are working with herding cattle, sheep on your ranch, or they're a guard dog, or whatever. We have so many cats that are doing the same work. I have a client who is quite elderly, and her cats are so devoted. There's no dog that could beat these cats, because they are wherever she is. They're always curled up next to her, checking her pulse, seeing how she feels, cuddling up at night or not, whatever she needs. And she's in her late 80s. So she's had these cats since they were kittens. So don't get pigeonholed into the fact that I only can have a dog or cat. I've seen people have frogs with the same devotion. Now, I don't think the frog will jump around and follow you very much, because they need a few other things with the moisture and that type of stuff. But an animal can be whatever you want it to be, as far as you could go outside and enjoy wildlife, feed the birds, healthy things, please, whatever at the bird shop that they are recommending for that species. You can put out houses for them. You can help strays. There's so many ways to have a pet, but not necessarily have the ownership issues, especially if you're somewhere, you're a college student and can't have a pet. You can go volunteer on your time off from studying. I'll tell you, the best thing I ever did was go for a walk and or go walk through the shelter. And they would love your help. So an animal, I've seen somebody care for and love, ready? Cockroaches. Absolutely, he adored them, and he bred them, and he sold them, and he taught people about them. There's no animal literally off the list. I would not go with the poisonous ones. That would just be a recommendation. But and what's legal in your part of the country, world, there are laws on what you can and cannot have in certain districts. So be aware of that before you get too exotic, because with the internet nowadays, you can get anything, literally anything. That doesn't mean it's the right pet for you or you for them. Remember, you're taking on a life. And so with that, you need to respect that you're taking on a life, and do your homework. Make sure you can maybe pet sit, or you can work in we used to have pets in stores. I don't think that's a thing, but you could go to your shelter and volunteer and see if you have the temperament for even just a dog and a cat and a hamster. There's ways to find out.
Thank you. Thank you. Love that. And we put these chips called microchips. They're professionally inserted into a pet through, I guess, veterinarian. I'm not
It's
sure.
through a gun, just like a vaccine. So
Okay.
it is the size of a grain of rice. It is that small. It goes through to the between the shoulder blades, and it is so small. You can feel it if you really go looking for it, but they can't. They can't feel it. It doesn't impede their movement. It doesn't get stuck in their muscles. It's through an opening. You'll have, and you can read about the exact same place if you want to know exact. But it goes through the shoulder blades. In between there, there's a little opening, and it's 2 seconds. It's probably as simple or simpler than having a vaccine. And pets should be vaccinated also, and they're getting in their legs and their sides and their fatty part of their back legs. This is going in the shoulder blade. Couple of reasons why. We don't need to go into the vet reasons. That's not pertaining to what I want people to walk away is. It's easy to get to with a scanner. Scanners are still required to be able to read the number. And in that number is your name, your address, your zip code, everything about it. And usually, sometimes they will put where they were adopted from. But that's the least important information. Your personal information is the most important information. And make sure, this is something we all forget. I'm guilty of it too, that you keep up if you move, that you get a hold of the organization that you did your microchip through, because they'll give you paperwork. They'll give you plenty of paperwork to prove this. Now, what are the pros and cons of having a chip? There's millions, but I'm going to go through a really specific list. That getting a lost pet back is one of the pivotal icons of this device working really well. I can't tell you how many people have lost whatever pet, again, that is roaming free, that they have a pet sheep, but it's one instead of 500. It's a little easier to prove that you own 500 than you own one. And you want to get these done if you're letting your pets, cats and dogs specifically, let's be really specific, if you're letting them run free outside, it's essential, because God forbid they get hit by a car, somebody takes them to the vet, and or they die before or after the car, you will never know. You will never know. This way, if your choice is to let your animals run around outside, and that's a whole different conversation, just saying if that's possible, you need to get them microchipped. This is, again, not an expensive. I can't give you a price because every vet will choose that. Now, if you think about a piece of rice, I mean, one piece of rice, I was going to bring one, but you wouldn't even see it in my hand. It is smaller than your tip of your nail, depending on how long you grow it out. So it does not bother their body. Sure, can any cat be allergic? Absolutely. That's true across the board. Soap, cleaner, food, anybody and any animal can have an allergic reaction. But here's the reasons why us in this industry really, really, really encourage this. Because when they get lost, this is your best chance of being reunited. It's your best chance. So that is the number one. They last almost a lifetime. They really would like you to update your microchips about every 25 years. First of all, you can change your location where you live. All you do is go back up onto the internet where you have your chip registered, and you change the address, like everything else you've changed when you move. So they last a very, very long time. So let's say you get it when the kitten or your dog is young, then you have it almost for their lifetime. It is quick. It is painless. It's I won't even say it's like a shot, but it's going to be similar to getting a vaccine. And it's, again, boom, 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 they're in. And your pet will hardly flinch because it's so, so fast. The chips can't get lost. This is a really big part. This is not a number you have to hold or a collar they have to stay in. I don't know about you, but with my shepherds, they would be tricky enough to get it up and over their head. So without strangling them, I had to make the collar at least loose enough to be able to be flexible. But that's not how a chip works. It's under the skin. They can't lose it. They can't wash it away. I adopted a purebred shepherd at one point that was dumped in a backyard, and he had a tattoo. That is a far more painful action because it has to be either stamped in, and so you've got an entire lot of touching by the needle. It's slightly more painful. I haven't heard firsthand if it's more painful, so I don't want to over exaggerate. But imagine one little shot done and a tattoo. And if you've ever had a tattoo or see how they're done, just the implementation of that technique, it takes longer. The database. So when you fill out all that paperwork, says, here's where I live, here's where I've been, and we're going to come to this, but I'm going to say it a couple times. Don't forget to update your material on the database. If you move and you don't update the database that you've moved, then your cat is going to go to a shelter till they can find you and or get adopted out, or God forbid something else happen. That would be terrible. But the database is national. So worldwide, everywhere can have access. They've worked really hard to make a lot of commonalities throughout the whole globe. It's not, I don't think it's there yet, but we're really, really close and getting there. I don't want to overstate anything, but the database is national. So let's say you have an amazing breed, just the top-notch breed, and everybody wants it, and somebody takes it. Somebody steals your pet. You will have, and they don't remember to change, or they don't have any proof to change the chip and don't see that your pet has one, then you have grounds to not only find your pet, but also win in a court trial, say, no, that's mine. I have the date, I have the paperwork, I have everything there. So it's incredibly easy to find. The shelters all have readers, and that's how they'll be able to read your microchip. And they'll reach out to you because they're not looking to fill shelters. They're looking to reunite pet owners. Your personal information, of course, your name, your address, your phone number. That's it. There's no social security number or anything like that. But some people worry about their personal information. This is all protected because there are a million clauses that the people who take your information and file it are required to keep it private. It's the same thing with children who have been abandoned and or people who have drug addictions. There are many, many instances, and I'm not even scratching the surface, that your personal information will say safe and private. All they have, just to reassure you, is your name and address and a phone number. That is what this is required on the application. So these are really important contact informations to get your pet back to you quickly. That's the point, to make it as simple as possible. It can be used to prove ownership. So there is another perk. If you have a breed that is highly desired, or somebody, your neighbor's taking a fancy to it and steals it, they cannot go in and just change ownership on the chip. No, they have to have the other owner. There's papers to sign. It's the same as if you bought the dog. So you will be able to prove ownership if there's ever a doubt and court things are brought up. All kinds of things. Now, there are downsides to having a chip. I always want to give you both sides of the story. So the chip can move. And I've heard people say that it's moved down to the shoulder, it's kind of floated up here. But that is why the machine, the thing they scan with, is pretty wide, round and wide or long. And they'll scan all the way around because they know in some animals it will move. Will it hurt the animal? No. It is not a part of their blood system. It should go into a muscle. And some animals, it's just the way they're built. The chip will move. So it's not a life and death. It is not a health concern because where they're putting it between the shoulder blades is just a really easy place to scan. But you should know sometimes they'll move. So they'll go and look wider if they still cannot find the chip. Another reason to keep your paperwork. Make sure you keep your paperwork so that you have a backup to say the chip on your paperwork will be the number. Every chip has a very unique number. Like we have a driver's license number. If you want to look at it that way, it is so similar. They won't help you locate your lost pet. They won't help you locate your lost pet. The microchip isn't a GPS. So let me be really clear. It can help you locate your pet if somebody scans your pet. But it is not a means for sending out sonars and that you're trackable. That's not what the chip's reason to be or transmitter works for. That's not how it works. It is there to identify the dog and who the owner is if it gets lost or if there's a dispute and somebody else says, no, that's my dog. No, that's my dog. Because you can change a collar. You can change a collar and a tag. Those are easy enough to get. You can go to a pet store and have a new one made. This is Bob. And he's Karen's owner or whatever. You can make those changes, but it is not going to help you in locating a lost pet. There's no GPS transmission from it. There is a tiny risk to your pet's health. All vets will go over this depending on the breed, depending on the age and health of the animal. This is something to talk about with your pets. Sometimes there's only been 4 cases in 4 million microchip pets. There's only been 4 cases of anything catastrophic like cancer or anything like that to this date. All the information I'm looking up and reiterating for you has been posted in the last 10 days. The cost of microchipping a pet is relatively inexpensive. It just depends in your area, but most of the time you could go to a pet store, a pet supply store, your vet, of course. And then a lot of communities do these spay, neutering, microchip workshops and all kinds of events to get you there. So it's not a costly process. Most places charge anywhere from $40 to $50. And it just depends on where you are, how far they came. The chip manufacturing at the time, everything changes. Even the price of our water changes constantly. So there are a great deal of pros to having a microchip. And next I want to cover before our hour's up is there are a few side effects, and I want to balance that out. But Dr. JACALYN, what do you think? Did you ever, now your pets were in your home. So and of course you took them for walks and things like that. But our generation, we didn't really do this. It was really coming into, I was aware of it as an older teenager because my neighbor that we played with, their dog was a purebred. And they had him microchipped. It was at least an inch in those days, which was huge. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Was that a thing when you had dogs?
No, I honestly never heard of it until a number of years ago. I actually found a lost dog here
Mm.
in Florida, and I was running or walking on this path, and I saw the dog, and I didn't know exactly what to do. But somebody who lived in a neighborhood across the street, I saw had a dog on a leash, and I yelled over, "Could I borrow that leash?" And of course, they were like, "What you would say?" Because
What
I
drug did you take today?
yeah, because I didn't know how I was gonna get this lost dog back
Right,
to the house to try to make some calls. So
right.
anyway, the person gave me the leash, and it turns out as I was petting the dog that the dog had a chip. It
Yay.
had a chip, and so that's how we ended up getting the dog back to its original owner.
And there's the whole reason to pay the $10 a month or $15 a year or whatever. It's a very small fee because wouldn't you want your pet back? Wouldn't you want to know the cars in the street hadn't hit him? And I know we at one time had indoor outdoor cats. And I can't tell you if they'd ever been hit and I wasn't as educated as I am now, because that's a transition we all make. We don't know what we don't know, and I'm having so much fun doing that with you. It's coming up with a new thing. What do you think she knows now? And it's wonderful because you can make those changes. You can help somebody else say, "Have you looked into this? Oh, I heard it's terrible. I heard it caused cancer." Well, those are fables, and we can remove the fear with information. If you just Google something on the internet, you're going to get a ton of great information. And you can also look up any conspiracy you want. Go ahead. But your logical self hopefully will win the day. And so I hopefully ran through the pros and how easy this is. And you just solidified it with the fact that you were able to reunite that dog. And you and I are the same way. We're going to stop the car. We're going to go get him and put him in the car and say, no, 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 this isn't how this works. I bought a house. I've always talked about Jake. And I bought a house with him abandoned in the back with a 30-foot, 20-foot, it was a long way down, septic tank removed. So there's a giant hole in the backyard. And this dog was just running around loose. So he could have broken his leg, broken his arm, fallen in the hole. And unless a realtor went by, there was nobody to check on him. So he was adopted into our family, and we had a lot of work. But can you imagine how devastated my children and I would have been to lose him again and know he's running on the street and he was hit by a car because our fence broke or whatever. So we're human. So plan for the what if. And so I want to go over is how does this work? And I think I've really covered that it is a small chip put into the middle of the spine right here behind the head. And you need to check with your vet if it is something that what their costs are, when they do it, because a lot of them have clinics. So also, is there damage? Is there side effects to a microchip? I wouldn't think so, but just like people, it is necessary to be aware that something could happen. So these are coming somewhere they're dangerous. Microchips sometimes end up in dangerous place of the body. So it can literally travel from between the spine. There is right here at the back of your neck. They have a great space where it just goes under the skin. We're not going into the muscle or anything, but it can move. It's not a crisis if it moves. That's okay. That's why they take the wand all over that backside. But just know that sometimes they can move. And if you are concerned, go to your vet and have them check it and see if there's any reason that it needs to be moved, that it needs to be redone. And they'll check that chip every time you go into the vets, especially if you're going for the first time. So if somebody's going to steal your pet, what's the best way to start making it look like their pet? Take them to the vet, get all their shots. Here, we just adopted. Now, my family, we tend to adopt older animals. So we would have the possibility that they've been chipped already. Most shelters now already chip it, and they put the shelter's address in. So let's say the owner doesn't get a chance or doesn't put the chip in their name. The great part is it'll still have the shelter's name, and the shelter will have the last known address that they have. So if you move, this is not going to work. It's not going to help. You need to keep the chip up to date yourself and get all the benefits of the new techniques or the new information that the chip company will send you. So there are tiny risks to your pet. Of course, any pet can have a reaction. As I just said, it could move. Is this a life and death? No. It just means they have to go looking for it. The link between microchipping and cancer is far from proven. However, there are four reported cases. Are you ready, Dr. Jacalyn, for the number? There's 4. Do you know out of how many? Anybody want to make a guess? Out of 4 million, there's 4 cases. 4 documented cases of cancer due to the chip. So it is above possible, below probable. So yes, anything you do, you can take your pets for a walk. My shepherd and I actually competed in agility contests. We ran over hoops and through tunnels and all types of things. And because he was an athlete and I was, we kept up our exercise on off season. And one day he slipped a pad. And what that means is the bottom of his foot literally peeled off. I couldn't actually carry him home, but I had to walk really, really slow. And then I had to keep him confined for 3 months to make sure his paw healed. If anything like that happened, if let's say somebody came by, remember I rescued him out of the backyard, anybody could have come by and say, hey, that's my dog. Why do you have my dog? If I hadn't had the chip changed into my name, then I would have had quite a fight on my hands because he was a purebred. Now we had him neutered, but he would have been a fabulous purebred because I was able to track down his breeder and get his original papers. She was really unhappy about what his life had been. So microchipping is really, really essential. And just keep him healthy. Keep them healthy and moving and going. And don't worry about the microchip being a part of an illness. We're going to think positive. We're going to have a positive input for other people. And I really can't encourage this enough. Can you do this for, nowadays we have so many exotic pets, rats, hamsters, snakes, guinea pigs, rabbits. I mean, the ending goes on and on. I have not heard it really prevalent in the horse field, but it is done very, very heavily, from what I understand, in the professional racehorse field. They are tattooed. You can get it in the lip. I've seen it. I've seen it in their ears. A tattoo is far more difficult to change and or to not see than a lot of animals have. So having your pet protected like this is so, so important. So, Dr. Jacalyn, did I leave any questions out there that you can think of for our audience?
I think you covered it really well. I really do.
We hope so.
Yeah, And I think you've laid out the pros and cons. The one thing I just wanted to mention about pets, people have other pets aside from dogs and cats. Is there any reason to get other types of pets microchipped?
If
Like
you take them out, if you are the type of person that walks your bunny, it's a very slow walk, but it happens, and they like to eat along the way. If you are taking them to shows, if you are taking them in public anywhere, or you take them to your neighbor's friend's sleepover regularly, I would talk to your vet and get the pros and cons of a microchip. Remember, it is so small. And if this animal means a great deal to you, and if you're taking them all these places, you probably are madly in love with them. Check with the vets. They are the expert and the one who are keeping up on the technology. I can give you the broad strokes, but it is not my field. I'm not going around putting in these chips. I'm not seeing the latest gun game thing. It is so fast. It is literally a piece of rice. It is literally, I've seen these. I'm like, how do you not lose these? And they go into a gun the same as we have vaccines, and it's done. It's a little bit of a pinch, and most pets, especially the dogs, don't even flinch. The smaller the animal, the more they're going to flinch. They're going to need to hold still, and the vets have the means to do that. The vets are your go-to. Your shelters, oh my gosh, big advocates of the chip, because what would they love to be? Out of business.
Mm-hmm.
They'd love to be out of business. The people who are doing work that they hope that they're become obsolete, this is one of them. They don't want to keep having all these animals that they can't possibly keep feeding, and they can't possibly medicate everybody, or they can't fix all of them. So many of them lose their lives because the owners thought, I'll do it later. I'll get to the chipping later. I'll fix them later. And that's nine litters later. And what happens to all those puppies? And you go, oh, no. I always get them great homes. You don't know that for 10 years. You don't know that for 5. You don't know that for 16 days. That people are calling you, yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great. Think about the overpopulation. If you need a pet, if you want a pet, I know for me, I'm the need a pet. I have to have one, or I'm gonna shrivel up and die. I will. I gotta pet somebody. And all 3 of our rescues, 2 of them came to us accidentally. 1 we did on purpose. So you don't know what life will bring you. So what I want to encourage you is plan for the worst and live the best. Because I live in earthquake country. I've been through a lot of them. And I've seen people scream and yell, oh my God. And I'm thinking, calm down, just move out of the way of the building. Because I'm so used to them. It'd be the same way as if I was the crosswalk person. They have the most horrible, extraordinary stories of people driving through the kids that are being walked through the crosswalk with the crosswalk person, and still they're speeding around them. I'm like, what are you doing? 3 minutes? Really? Did it shave off even that? Because you ran through it? We do things for a reason. And we teach. Your platform specifically teaches and shares a better way to live. And I want you to have your pets as long as you can. But I'd also like to see us encourage everybody to get the shelters closed because they have no pets. Because we adopted them all, because we stopped having babies, because we all wanted to see a brand new kitten. Well, that's lovely, but what happens to that brand new kitten's life when you can't get it adopted? Or you don't know who adopted it? Because there are cruel, horrible people that use animals for fun. And I'm not going to get too graphic, but they're doing horrible things, or they're just throwing them out. Literally, I've seen them throw it out of their car. And I'm like, okay, who should be in jail now? So please spay, neuter, and get your pets chipped. There is a reason why we all are so passionate about these topics.
Wow. Great overview. Thank you so much. And a great way to summarize what you discussed here today.
Wonderful.
Lots of value as always. We're always getting great feedback about the work you're doing. So please keep it up.
Absolutely. Thank you for the platform and the whole team. The whole team is amazing. We each talk about something that is hard work. So thank you.
Thank you. We've got your information up here on the screen, but for people who are not able to read it, who would you like to give you a call or send you an email or join your
If
Facebook
any of
group?
my work resonates with you, any of it, please follow me on Facebook. That's the fun place. I do a lot of animal silliness because that's what they are. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn. And this is the most important platform, honestly, because you get to hear my voice and you get to hear my stance on so many things, and that's coexisting. I want you to plant flowers and bushes and trees that help the honeybee and not feed the wildlife. I really don't want you feeding birds unless you plant a plant that feeds them, because that's the circle we need, not more seeds out there where they're not taking care of nature and doing what they're supposed to naturally do. So I want to support us on both sides. But if you ever need help with your pets, of course, join me on this platform. We have I have tons of free information here on USA Global TV, and then on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn, and I have my website is full of information to where to go, and that is bridgingworlds.us. BRIDGINGWORLDS.US. And that's where you'll find all the links to everything I mentioned. I really believe in one place that you can really look into and jump around. I love to be silly. I love to be fun and love to cover, of course, these really serious conversations and encourage you, every one of you, to love an animal today, even if you're the one that now loves honeybees. Because if you like food, you really should. And all you have to do is bless them and say, no, not me. Go over there. And Dr. Jacalyn will give you the 411 on how to do that, because she just did this a few years ago as we worked on all of us doing better. Because sure, I don't want to be bitten by a rattlesnake. I've been bitten by a snake, not a poisonous one, but it wasn't fun. But I had a bunch of children watching, and I just smiled through the whole thing, and I was fine. Just a couple more puncture holes. That's what happens when a child picks up a wild snake at a camp in the middle of nowhere and says, "Oh, look, I found a snake." And I said, "Oh, here, let me take that." And I happen to love snakes, so I let the kids look, and the kids got closer and closer, and the snake was like, "Oh man," because remember, we're carnivores as far as they're concerned. These things are going to eat me. And so I had the snake up over my hand and holding the back through his body. And he swung around and chomped on my hand. And all the kids did that, and a lot of more screaming. And that freaked him out more, so he bit me again. And of course, I'm just standing there going, "Oh, this is going to hurt later." Because I'd been bitten by plenty of dogs by then. I think I'd already been bitten by a horse. Man, that left a huge bruise because he had to bite through my clothes, and somebody scared him. He turned around and bit me. And so I just smiled and said, "Okay, guys, calm." Then I walked really far away to put him back in the wilderness and put him down. I said, "I'm going to go see the nurse." I didn't say that out loud. I said, "You guys, I'm fine. Do you see I'm fine? I'm fine. I'm not bleeding. It's a little blood." But I said, "I'm fine." And you know what? My boss made me take the rest of the day off. And I'm like, "Why? I have 2 puncture holes." That's it. But okay. I got the whole rest of the day to sit in a cabin. It was very boring. There's no TV up in camp. Otherwise, they're doing it wrong.
Oh my goodness, that's quite a story, and that's
well, I've been pretty much bitten by almost everything. The tigers, they didn't let us get that close because there's all kinds of lawsuits then by the sanctuary. But I was a co-walker with the big tigers and all that kind of stuff, meaning the trainer was here walking them and I was the backup. So I don't know what they expect me to do. Jump on them and say, "No, don't do that."
Well, it sounds like that's the topic for another show.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So,
How to walk a tiger 101 in case you ever run into it. No, I've had
well,
an extraordinary life, and thank you for letting me share how to everybody do it better as far as safe and love those babies out there. Just not make any more babies.
right, take care of the ones that you have for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for a wonderful Friday.
Thank you. Have a beautiful weekend, and
You
I look
too.
forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thanks. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone who's been here with us from the beginning, or maybe you just found us. It's the end of our broadcasting week, and I have learned so much. I am really grateful. I say my prayers every night, and I just give thanks for each and every person like Pet Psychic AMINAH who comes here and shares their experience, their knowledge, their education, because what I have learned just from listening to our guests and to our team members, it's extraordinary. You could never get all this information in a book. So please do keep coming back. I just want to share we have some new shows that you might not be aware of, and we'd love to have you go ahead and register, even our team members. Why not? Register on our shows and share your knowledge and expertise. The first one is Women in Business. Yes, this is a show I'm hosting by myself. And I really felt like, why not give a platform specifically to women so we can learn from each other, the mistakes we've made along the way, the wonderful things that we've done, and that community of women supporting women. Children live what they learn, the power of etiquette and manners for children. This is a new show that I'm going to be doing with Mr. Philip Sykes from the British School of Excellence. And we will be focusing and showcasing children and etiquette and manners. We're bringing guests who actually work with children and teenagers. So stay tuned for that. That starts next month. And we have our new show, which launched today, the Creative Heart Show with Dr. Madeline Chan and myself. We are actually collaborating on a new book series called Creative Hearts Awakening. And the show is not about that, but we do want people who are creatives to consider having a chapter in our collaborative book. So please do join us for this show as well. And we have Take Steps and Kick IBD. I love this show. We bring it back in time for the Take Steps walk that's taking place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States of America. And that's happening on June 25th. If you'd like to join our team, Dr. J's Colitis crew, please do. We would love to have you walk around Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in the Super Bowl. Woo! On Sunday, go Eagles. Okay, so you can join us for that show. It's all about IBD and Crohn's disease, colitis, ostomies, people joining together to really share our community. What an amazing community of strong people we are. And that's about it for our new shows that are coming out. We also have some new shows that have launched recently. The Sales Leader Roundtable. This is a show that is with Kenley Davenport and Jim DeBolds. I produce it for them. It just launched this past week. We also have another show that is hosted by two wonderful people. It's called I'm Spiritual But. It's Ann Scotland and Dr. Roger Leslie, all about spirituality. And of course, this week we also launched our show with Doug Lawrence, Your Story, Your Grief, Your Journey. Another new show, sorry I missed this one, coming up with the lovely Diane Floyd Bain, is Once Upon a Time, the Good Book Guide for Kids. This is a show where we welcome authors, anyone who works with children, whether it's providing services, if it's providing products, if it's writing books. And you might say, well, what's the difference between this show and the other one for kids? The other one for kids is specifically about etiquette and manners, confidence, emotional intelligence, whereas this show can go off in many different ways as long as it's centered around children. So that's all I have for you today on that. I hope you'll join us again starting on Monday. We'll be bringing back our show Talking Peace Around the World with our global broadcasters. That's a special show that's once a month. Thank you again, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. Remember to be good to yourself, and please always be kind to others. It's our responsibility to, it starts with you. It starts with me. Be kind in a world where kindness is king, as far as I'm concerned. Thanks again. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.